Imbalanced data set means your output, if your output has a binary classification, then one lot of records are with one classification and then there are very few records with other classification. This is called as imbalanced data set. Did you understand this? So this is a very famous interview question. People will ask you, how will you tackle you're splitting the data into training and test data set when you have imbalanced data set. Okay, so you can take this 100 data points example and then you can explain them. Okay, so before we proceed, let's do one coding challenge, guys. Okay, because I have to make sure that you guys are working on Python also. So it's very important for me. So do you all understand what is Fibonacci numbers? Everyone, do you all understand what is Fibonacci numbers? Just quickly brief you what this Fibonacci number means. For example, I'm starting the series with 0 and 1. Then the Fibonacci series will be formed by these two numbers only. The third number would be adding up this. The fourth number would be adding up this two. The fifth number would be adding this two. And then so on. 5, 8, 13, 21 and so on. So this is something which we have not learned in mechanical, but I just want to have this coding challenge. Fibonacci series. So what we are doing is my first number is 0, my second number is 1, and then see, if I want to generate a series, I have to use for loop, right? So let's use for loop for I in how many numbers we want. Let's say we want only 100, for example. Okay, now my third number would be first num plus second num, and then I'm printing this x. For example, let's say that I'm printing this x. I'm also printing. Whenever you don't know, you can write individual syntaxes in individual lines, but I'm also writing in individual lines because I don't want you to confuse. So now your first number would be equal to second num and second number would be equal to x. Now what happens here? For I equal to 0, it will go on to the loop. It will calculate the value of x and then it will print x. That will be your third number. Now we are changing our first number with second number and second number with x. Then it will take I equal to 1. It checks whether it is in range of this or not, and then it will go into this loop again. And then again it will calculate new x with new first num and second number. Okay, and then it will print that x, and then again it will replace first number and second number, and it will keep on doing this. Did you understand this logic? Are you able to identify any flaw in this logic, guys? So 0, 1, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 3 plus 5 is equal to 8, and so on. Now, for example, if I want to stop this series, if I'm getting a number which is greater than 1 crore, and I want to stop this series. So how should I do that? I have to write if loop, right? If x is less than or equal to say 1 crore, then only this should be printed. Else print number is greater than a crore, rather than counting number of zeros. I don't want to do that now. Okay, so now what happens, guys? Now if I run this syntax and run this code, you would see that it has run the code till we get less than 1 crore. As soon as we reaches greater than 1 crore, it is printing that else syntax again and again, right? It is printing this else syntax again and again, and it is not a good habit to do that, right? So what should I do? I don't want that to be printed again and again, because I know after this, once this sentence has been printed by number is greater than a crore, then we have to stop it, right? Because we know that. So what should we do? There is something called as break, if I'm not wrong. It's been a long while. Yes, exactly. Break the program. There is something called as break. It's been a while I've used this. So let's see if it works. So now let's run this. So it's working. So as soon as it reaches greater than 1 crore, it says the number is greater than a crore. And then once we are breaking it, that means it is coming out of this loop. So by this, what we are trying to do? By this, what we have done is, for example, let's say that so by this, what we are doing, instead of running our for loop again and again, it has stopped as soon as it goes into else loop. What we are doing here is we are limiting the number of operations. We are limiting the loop. So this is called as performance. So when you go into the industry, people will ask you to write optimized code, right? You cannot just keep the code like this. It will be wrong, because then your loop will be running 100 times, and it's not useful, right? So it will actually create an operational issue, performance issue. So that's the reason we have to always write the code which is the optimized code. Okay, now I will write few things. I want you guys to tell me what will be the output. I want to make sure that, because when you go for an interview, there will be a coding challenge in the interview. Sometimes they will be having a written test where they will be giving some code and they will be asking you what will be the output for this. Okay, so you have to tell me what could be the output for this. What will be the output for this? You have noticed that I have changed the code slightly by putting one more asterisk, right? So 0, 4, 9, so on up to 9 square. How did you get 324? Oh, I think you have taken, oh, okay. I think what you have done is you have taken this. You have taken this, if I'm not wrong. You have done this. 2 square, 2 cube, 2, 3, 2 power 4, 2 power 5, so on. Okay, no problem. Okay, great. So now what will be the output? Very simple, right? What will be the output now? So this is important. People will ask a lot of questions like this to confuse us. See, whenever I put a quotation, single quotation or double quotation, that means now this number has been converted from number to a string. Now if you hover your mouse here, you will notice that 22 is a string now. So it will take it as a string and it will concatenate that 2 times. If I write 3 here, it will concatenate that 3 times. Okay, great. Okay, now you guys have one coding challenge from my side, guys. Okay, you have to put some number, say x equal to 1 2 3 4 5. Let's say that this is a number, and then you have to tell whether this number is a palindrome or not. You guys understand what is palindrome? See, the reason why I'm going into this few small things of coding, because in the written test, this kind of codes you will notice in your multiple choice questions when you go for an interview. So 1 2 3 4, which number is palindrome here? 1 2 3 4 5 or 1 2 3 2 1? Out of these two, which number is palindrome? 1 2 3 2 1. Okay, cool. So I want to tell you one important thing here. Instead of writing a number, I want to input the number. Enter a 5-digit number. So what happens by this is, if you notice, I'm trying to show you a few things. See, instead of putting the static number here, x equal to something, I'm giving some dynamic number when I run the code. So it will ask enter a 5-digit number. I should have given a colon here. Okay, let's give a colon here and then run it again. Enter a 5-digit number. Let's say that I'm running 1 2 3 4 5, and then I got a square of that. Okay, right? So you have to use this. Instead of using a static number, use this dynamic way by using input. Okay, and always remember, now one thing which you have to remember, if I write this, what will I get? For example, enter a 5-digit number. This is 10,000. So what we will get? Let's see what we will get. 20,000. Okay, so you can try this few things. Okay, but my main intention to work on this is you have to use this syntax from now on. Okay, whenever you are doing simple coding, and then you have to use like for loop and if loop here, and then check whether this number is palindrome or not. And you, like, I don't know how you will do it, but I think if I'm not wrong, you have to check the remainder and then divisor, remainder, divisor, so on, and then you have to understand whether this number is palindrome or not, right? So you can do that, guys, and then if you're not able to get the answer, please let me know in next session so that we can do it in a class. But I think you would be able to get it. Python is very simple. Okay, so from now on, please use this input function. One more thing which I want to just tell you is, if instead of entering a 5-digit number, let's say if I enter A, B, C, D, E, what will I get in this X asterisk? Instead of writing a number 1 2 3 4 5, I'm just writing A, B, C, D, E. You would notice that name ABCD is not defined. Okay, great, no problem. You can think why is it happening on this, and then you can try. You should play around with this few things. Okay, whenever you have any doubt, please write this and then you can check. So for example, instead of this, when it will concatenate or when will it multiply, if you have any doubts, you should always check the type. What type is it? It's type int. That's the reason I'm not getting for A, B, C, D, E. Now if you see, if I'm writing A, B, C, D, E, it's not taking because it is giving int type. Okay. So does this input always give you by default int? If yes, how to convert that into string? Okay. If no, then why? Please tell me the answer in tomorrow's session. Does input always gives the by default type as int or string? Okay. So please tell me the answer in next session. What would be the answer for this? And yes, to convert any number into a string, you have to put str of that. Seems like you have done a lot of Python coding. But then the important thing which I'm trying to explain here is, from now on, you should try writing some simple codes apart from writing machine learning codes also, okay? Because I've seen that people writing a lot of machine learning codes and then they forgot these few basic things. And then when it comes to written test, they won't be able to qualify itself in the written test. So please start working on the simple codes also, so that you should be able to qualify your written test. Okay, in some interviews you will have written test, in some interviews you don't. So when there is a written test, you should be very confident that you would be able to understand the code, and then you can tell what would be the output. Okay, so that's an important thing which I wanted to tell. And in the next session, should we practice simple Python and ML codes together? So please start practicing on simple codes also, because I've noticed that several people start working on machine learning, then they forget the simple basics. And then they will know everything about machine learning, but they forget this basics, and then they won't be able to clear the written test. So please start doing this, guys, everyone. And if you're not able to understand any simple codes, then you can ask me in the next session. I will be there to help you guys. So please work on this coding challenge to identify whether whenever I give a new input, whenever I enter a number, 5-digit number, then your code should tell us whether this number is a palindrome or not. Okay. So to conclude today's session, I would say that we have learned sufficient amount of supervised learning algorithms and couple of unsupervised learning algorithms. And most of the job opportunities will be based on supervised learning. So please start practicing. In the next week or in the next session, we will look into some more algorithms. But if you are good with all these algorithms which I've taught till now, I would say that would be sufficient for you to fetch a job if you are practicing in Python daily, and if you are working on your challenges, and if you're doing your homework properly. Okay. So you should be able to fetch a good job, as a fresher, of course, as a fresher, because by this you would be having a basic and intermediate knowledge of machine learning. So you can fetch a job of fresher or 1 year or 2 years of experience in machine learning. But then we can discuss that later in our final week. But I just wanted to make sure that now you are very good. You should be able to just start practicing, complete your challenges, and then I don't see any reason that anyone stopping you from fetching a job in data science field. Okay, and one last thing, when you are trying to look for a simple data sets and you are implement the same thing on the same data set, try to implement hierarchical clustering also. Okay, always try to experiment. Okay, because there is no harm in doing experimenting. Just try to implement hierarchical clustering with different linkages. Try to analyze the solutions. Just check which is more accurate, whether it is k-means or hierarchical. If it is hierarchical, then with linkage it is better. We have completed 10 sessions in 5 weeks. Okay. Please start looking at the videos. Everyone who are not there on the online sessions, please start looking all the videos. If you have any questions, please get back to me or Skill-Lync. We are here to help you guys. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.